Minutes at 4:30 p.m. But before that, let's hear from the managers. They've been speaking with Marcus O'Buhala.
Tony, thanks a million for your time this afternoon before the big game. But before we focus on the game today, great for the players to be back in the Connacht Football Championship. Obviously, massive disappointment that they missed out last season.
Yeah, massive for Sligo. We went through a difficult year last year, not having played. But you know something, I don't think it's in their minds at the minute, and I hope it's not going to be in their minds when they come to the field. And they're a very young bunch of players, and you know, I think there's maybe 10 or 12 of our fellas who will have played maybe their second championship match again today, so it's a big occasion for us all.
And a first Connacht Championship match for yourself. Well, sorry, with Sligo, I should say. Obviously, previous experience with Mayo, but looking forward to the challenge. And have you enjoyed your time? You're there since February now.
Yes, there from February, but you know, it's this is my second spell with a team, as you know, in being with Mayo beforehand, you know, and the experience is pretty much the same. It's a great bunch of fellas, very dedicated, and looking forward to it. So I'm looking forward to this challenge today because I know the Mayo players and I know what football means to them. And to be fair, it's the same with the Sligo fellas. This is a big occasion for them and one that we're hoping to turn up and perform.
A couple of changes made from the game last weekend. Just your thoughts on those changes, and obviously massive opportunity for them going up against Mayo here this afternoon.
Yeah, I suppose, listen, we're at a stage now when we've spent, I don't know, maybe 10 weeks or thereabouts with this Sligo team, and we're still trying to find out which is the best players in the best positions. Some of the fellas have come back off injuries, some fellas have been carrying knocks and that. So it's a year where we've chopped and changed, and we're still not quite sure what's best for us, you know. So today's team, the lines out, won't be the finishing team, but sure, let's see how it goes.
And just finally, Tony, there'll be a couple of hundred supporters in here as well. Home game for Sligo, massive for the lads to be playing in front of family for the first time in an age.
Yeah, wouldn't it be lovely to have a huge support here on the day that it is? And I think it's something that the Sligo team and this Sligo support actually needs badly, is that occasion where we have so many people in this ground, and the ground's looking so well as it is today. So we don't have that. We have a couple of hundred, but you know what? It's the start, hopefully, of something that's going to improve as we go on.
Tony, really appreciate your time this afternoon.
Thanks very much, Marcus.
Thank you. James, thanks a million for your time this afternoon. It's a beautiful day. You couldn't ask for better conditions to get the Connacht Championship underway.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Up here, it's a great pitch, Markievicz as well. So, yeah, looking forward to the game and playing as well as we can.
How would you assess the last couple of weeks, the last couple of months? Obviously, condensed league campaign. I suppose you got job done, but certainly we saw against Clare that there would be areas I'm sure that you would look to improve on here today.
Oh yeah, but that's every day, every game, every session. You're looking to improve. But look, overall in the league, we're so satisfied we got a lot of what we wanted. You know, we got up to Division 1 and we learnt an awful lot as well. And Clare will test a lot of teams. You know, they're a very, very good, solid team, hard-working team. So you know, you get found out if you're not doing some things right. So that's great for us, and we've been working hard over the last couple of weeks to try and improve in some of those areas.
A lot of the talk before this game is about the loss of the O'Connor brothers, and rightly so, to massive players. But it gives opportunities for others then to come in and to grab an opportunity in a Mayo jersey.
Yeah, and that's the nature of what we're at. You know, there's always going to be injuries, or you know, and that's why we carry a panel, and we've a lot of players pushing hard. And you know, some guys getting a chance today, and more on the 26th that'll come in as well. So we'll see how it goes.
In terms of Sligo then, James, what have you seen? What are the main threats that you're going to have to be very mindful of here this afternoon? Obviously playing at home and a support in the stadium. Only 200, but it's still family and friends around to support them.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, they'll have been eyeing up the championship, as everyone has, for a while. And the league didn't go as they wanted. But Sligo always have good players, and they're always competitive in Markievicz Park, and expect nothing different today. So of course we've had a look at them and see where they're strong, but it's all about us and us playing our game as well as we can, and seeing where that brings us.
James, really appreciate your time. Chat to you afterwards. Good morning.
Yes, the championship returns, and it's great to be back. 6 months after the curtain came down on last year's competition, we go again with the footballers of Mayo and Sligo first to enter the arena here in Connacht. So let's take a quick check on the teams then. And new manager Tony McEntee has made 5 late changes to the Sligo team announced during the week to try and gain an advantage. Number 25, Carl McKenna, 19, Peter Laffey, and 23, Nathan Mullen, all come into the defence to join the likes of championship debutant Ryan Feely from St Mary's. Up front, number 24, Liam Gahan, is also a late addition, while the selection of imposing target man Barry Gorman suggests that Sligo intend to go long and direct as often as possible. Team captain Keelan Cawley is one of the players who makes way in the reshuffle. James Horan gives experienced goalkeeper Rob Henley his first championship start since August of 2019, with Enda Hessian from Gary Moore making his debut in this competition at number 2. Michael Plunkett, who came on in last year's All-Ireland, is posted at number 6, with speedsters Paddy Durkin and Owen McLaughlin on the flanks. With the O'Connor brothers both out injured, Conor Loftus slots into midfield, and team captain Aidan O'Shea tries on the number 14 jersey for size. One late change sees Jordan Flynn replace Brian Welsh. So it's a warm and overcast evening here at Markievicz Park. Conditions a little muggy, very little in the way of a breeze, but Markievicz Park in pristine condition for the first game in this year's Connacht Championship. There's the Mayo captain Aidan O'Shea. He's already won the toss. Mayo have elected to play from left to right against the slight breeze. Alongside me in the commentary box this evening is the former Mayo and Armagh footballer Billy Joe Padden. Billy Joe, conditions perfect. Now everybody hoping we get a game to match the occasion.
No excuses whatsoever. Slight breeze, but it shouldn't be any hindrance in playing in either direction. The pitch is a really good, good coat of grass. Shouldn't be any effect on free taking, and really it's an opportunity for both teams. You can see they're both teams going through a fairly rigorous warm-up. A quick start is always vital in these games, but particularly for Sligo, when you're the underdog, you always want to get up and run into the game as early as you possibly can. They're probably a bit low on confidence after the league campaign that they've had, so if they could get going early, get a couple of early scores and put Mayo on the back foot, that's exactly what they would need.
Billy Joe, Tony McEntee has made those 5 changes in the last wee while. The one that's caught our eye is the selection of Barry Gorman. He's 6'6". He plays with Kulani Mullinabrina, and we're hearing he'll be posted on the edge of the square at full forward for Sligo. So it's a fairly direct and blunt message Tony McEntee is sending.
It is, and it's an obvious area to attack Mayo, consider the difficulties they had in their full back line on the high ball against Clare, where they conceded 2 goals to long direct balls like that. So maybe that's an area that they're trying to target. I think as well you're bringing in Liam Gohan as well, who is a tricky left-footed player to get scores, and of course Niall Murphy's already there, who's a player with ability. So it looks like that they're trying to play a direct game once they have the ball, but I imagine still to try and contain Mayo, they'll drop lots of numbers behind the ball.
Well, you'll have just seen there a moment ago the Sligo manager, Tony McEntee, exchanging pleasantries with the secretary of the Mayo County Board. Of course, they would know each other well. McEntee spent 3 seasons as a Mayo selector under Stephen Rochford. James Horan back in charge of Mayo, bidding this season to win his 6th Connacht Championship as Mayo manager in this, the 2nd season of his 2nd stint in charge. Well, both teams coming in to this game with very different trajectories off the back of the Allianz League. Mayo promoted back to Division 1, unbeaten during their league campaign, while Sligo 1 win from 4 in Division 4, telling its own story. As Tony McEntee said a little earlier, just 10 weeks is all he's had to work with these players in terms of collective training. And there's our referee for this evening's game, Paul Falloon from the Drumgath club in County Down, man who took charge of last year's All-Ireland Under-20 final. He has Barry Cassidy from Derry and Paddy Nealon from Roscommon alongside him as his linesman, as we pause for Aran Avian here at Markievicz Park. Well, great to see supporters back in the ground again this evening. 100 from each participating county, made up of parents, players, siblings as well, partners and board officials. So we will have some background noise, which will hopefully add to the occasion as we get ready to find out what the summer has in store for us. Mayo, the reigning Connacht champions, they're expected to win here and win well, even without the championship's all-time leading scorer, Cillian O'Connor, and his brother, Diarmuid. But the underdog Sligo have upset the odds in this fixture before, most recently back in 2010, and they have absolutely nothing to lose here on home ground. So it's Sligo, the home side, in this first half to play from right to left. Another championship season is up and running. Position won initially there by Mayo, but ball spilled rather cheaply, and a chance for Liam Gahan, the only Tour de Strand man in the starting 15, to pick out Niall Murphy. This would be some start. Murphy flashes that shot away to the left and wide. Great early chance for Sligo.
Excellent pass in by Gahan. You know, knew exactly where his teammate Murphy was, but he'd be disappointed he didn't slot that one.
Quick restart from Rob Henley, and Mayo on the move. Conor Loftus back in at number 9 in the absence of the injured Diarmuid O'Connor. Lovely ball to pick out Darren McHale, loses his marker, and that is some way to mark your first championship start. Darren McHale with the opening score.
Yeah, good movement, you know, finds himself close to goal, then gets back on a stronger left foot and a controlled finish.
Well, that will settle the nerves of Darren McHale. Those 5 late changes for Sligo have really made short work of the match programmes here at Markievicz Park. 5 changes, 3 in defence, 2 up front, and a whole host of positional ones. Sean Carabine here wears 15, but he's playing in the half-forward line at centre forward at the moment. Here's Niall Murphy, much closer to goal, goes by Enda Hession, and Niall Murphy, Sligo's leading scorer in the Allianz League, levels the game after 90 seconds.
Yeah, right back into the action. Great confidence there, takes his man on, and probably takes the right option in the end. The goal wasn't really on, fisted over the bar. Good response to missing that earlier one, and it's obvious in those early stages that Mayo playing with no sweepers, all man-on-man stuff back there.
Here's Owen McLaughlin from Westport, driving up that left-hand side. Nice delivery, just the way Tommy Conroy likes it. Tries to go inside his man, then outside, but swallowed up by the Sligo cover. Ball lost in the tackle, though, by Ryan Feely. His pocket picked by O'Donoghue. Here's O'Shea, McLaughlin, quick hands, O'Shea again. That first avenue blocked, and the ball given away to Paul Kilcoyne. That promising Mayo attack petering out fairly quickly.
Noticeable at that stage, and defensively Sligo had all bar 1 behind the ball, or in their own 45, trying to close down that Mayo attack, which they did successfully.
Well, certainly Sligo have plenty of knowledge of how Mayo like to play. Tony McEntee, as we said, spent 3 seasons working with most of these players. The Sligo coach Joe Kane also spent a couple of seasons as a selector with Mayo during that time. And how they set up defensively has been a big talking point here around Markievicz Park in the last few hours. Paddy Durkin wearing 6, but sitting on this right-hand side. Takes Liam Gahan on the outside. Durkin steadies down. It's coming in, but not quite enough. And that drops away to the right for Mayo's first wide. So Eamon Kilgannon surveys his options. The Sligo goalkeeping coach is Paul Durkin, the former Donegal All-Ireland winner. He's done a lot of work, we gather, with Kilgannon over the last few months. And this one works out. Sean Carabine. Paddy O'Connor. He's being picked up in these early stages by Lee Keegan, but numbers counting for very little right now. Here's David Quinn, starting at midfield for Sligo. Now it's Mayo's turn to sit in, and Sligo try to find an opening. Ball delivered long by Mikey Gordon, breaks off big Barry Gorman. First man to react was a Mayo man, and now Matty Ruan. Hit with a shoulder by Eddie McGuinness, just checks his momentum. Matty Ruan will have another go. Options left and right. Sligo have dropped in a sweeper inside forwards being tightly marked as well, but Tommy Conroy will pick out Darren McHale, who's moving around that area of the field trying to find some space. Ryan O'Donoghue, nice ball. Darren McHale rides the challenge, cuts through, and Darren McHale has started in flying fashion. His first start in the championship, and he's kicked 2 points.
Really clever hand pass for Ryan O'Donoghue, you know, very creative player, and McHale again taking an excellent line there, coming across, and you know, maybe an opportunity to carry it forward for a goal, but he settles for his point.
Right now it looks like the Mayo full forward line have set up as Ryan O'Donoghue, Tommy Conroy and Darren McHale, as Lee Keegan tries to service them. He's looking for Conroy. Ball broken away by McGuinness, falls to McHale, who looks very sharp, and that's now 3 points for Darren McHale from the county champions Knockmore.
Yes, Tommy Conroy does well, is not in a great position, but just gets the hands on it, knocked down, and McHale again super quick on that, gets the ball to his left boot very quickly, evades the block, just taps it over.
Kick out from Kilgannon, broken back in towards the Sligo half of the field. This is Jordan Flynn from Crossmalina, heard the call of Owen McLaughlin. Plenty of open road in front of him, nobody at home in the Sligo defence. McLaughlin shoots, but he scuffed that shot across the face of goal. Mayo second wide, but already the signs ominous for Sligo after 6 minutes.
When you play a defensive game plan, you know, it means there's a lot of bodies in that middle third for their kickouts, and Mayo are really happy in that situation to try and pressurise Kilgannon's kickouts. He doesn't have a whole lot of options here, and they're just going to have to win some 50-50 balls or breaking ball if they're going to get their hands on enough possession.
So as Billy Joe said, Mayo squeeze up top, Kilgannon goes long, and Mayo gobble up the breaks. Flynn to Keegan, the former footballer of the year, to Kevin McLaughlin. Men breaking all over the place. McHale again. This time, though, brings it into the tackle and leaves without it. Peter Laffey it was who got the challenge in to knock that ball away. Now Sean Carabine, man who lives close to the Mayo border in Castleconnor, left that pass, though, short for his teammate O'Shea in to snap it up. Now Conroy has the power to take the hit. Tommy Conroy, and over the bar. Well, Conroy in full flight is a sight to behold. That's his first score of Championship 2021.
A1 O'Shea's strengths there, great dispossession, drives forward with the ball. Conroy takes a good line off him, and again probably makes the right decision to hand pass over the bar.
So Mayo settling into their rhythm, 3 points in quick succession, and they open up some daylight here after 7 minutes at Markievicz Park. Ball shipped on nicely there by Kilcoyne to Paddy O'Connor, wearing 8 but starting in the half forward line. Captain Sligo last season. He's picked out Niall Murphy, man who took last year out, but back and playing good football again in recent weeks. He's got Enda Hessian for company, and Murphy decides to go back in order for Sligo to come forward. Sean Carabine, Sligo's best player over the last couple of seasons, consistently delivering big performances. This, of course, though, Sligo's first championship match for almost 2 years to the day. Didn't take part in the 2020 competition due to some COVID issues in their camp. So trying to make up for lost time. Peter Laffey, whose grandfather of the same name won an All-Ireland medal with Mayo in 1936, trying to set Sligo on the attack, but again, it's a poor delivery. Paddy Durkin was just sitting in front of the two-man Sligo full forward line, and there's so much space now down at the other end as Sligo try to funnel back. Darren McHale, he's there with time and space to his Knockmore teammate McLaughlin, just overreaching, and Kilgannon left his goal in the nick of time. But you could see there when Sligo's defence was caught out of position, the gaps appeared very quickly.
Paddy Durkin loves those counter-attacking opportunities. They'll be disappointed they didn't make something more of it because they work on them an awful lot.
Now Sligo isolate big Barry Gorman. Oisin Mullen, though, got just enough on that to knock it away from Gorman and back to the goalkeeper, Rob Henley. Right now, by the way, or in just a moment at least, Sligo will have all 15 men inside their own half. They're all getting back, trying to clog up the space. Mayo have found some anyway. Kevin McLaughlin was being held in there by the Sligo defender. That's Carl McKenna. But when Mayo move that ball at pace, that's where the problems arise.
Interesting in the absence of Cillian O'Connor that Ryan O'Donoghue has got the nod as free taker, and nice handy one to start.
So Ryan O'Donoghue from Belmullet with his first score of the day, and Mayo ease into a 5-1 lead. And already the difference between a team who will be playing Division 1 league football next season and Sligo, who finished at the bottom of Division 4 just a few weeks ago, starting to become apparent. Eddie McGuinness from Tubbercurry trying to take O'Donoghue for a run. Cuts into the centre. Mikey Gordon was being pushed. Paul Falloon awards the free to the Easky man. Again, he's looking up to see where Murphy and Gorman are. Goes long to Barry Gorman. Mullen again, just making a nuisance of himself, and Paddy Durkin quickest to react to the breaking ball. Support from Keegan. Now Matty Rua. And it's all very seamless from Mayo as they move from defence into attack. Ryan O'Donoghue hugging that far sideline. Invites Gordon in, then goes the other way. O'Donoghue from a very tight angle forces that effort, and that's away for a third Mayo wide.
Yeah, maybe Ryan should have recycled that ball and moved it out there. There's an opportunity maybe to get somebody else involved. It's of note that the last two high balls that have gone into Barry Gorman in the Sligo full forward line have been too straight down the field. You need to put them in with an angle there to give him an opportunity to attack the ball.
Well, Eamon Kilgannon had to be very precise with that kick out to Nathan Mullen. Got it away, found his target, but now Mullen has tied himself up in knots, and Aidan O'Shea seizes onto the opportunity. Driving through, and that is Aidan O'Shea's first championship goal for 5 years. The Mayo captain, on his 70th championship appearance, hits the net after 11 minutes.
Yeah, excellent work again from Mayo to create the turnover, and then Aidan O'Shea, that strength. You know, it's going to be very difficult for Eddie McGuinness to stop him in that stage. Good ball control and an excellent finish.
Well, that is goal number 16 of Aidan O'Shea's career. Hadn't scored a goal in this competition since a qualifier against Westmeath way back in 2016, but he puts that record straight. And now Sligo are in dire straits, haven't scored for more than 11 minutes. They've fallen 7 points behind, and already it's panic stations.
It is. Some teams like Mayo are very comfortable leaving 2-on-2 in their own full backline, because they know then that gives them loads of bodies around the middle third where they really want to put the squeeze on players.
Eamon Kilgannon, who has played quite a bit of football outfield for St. Farnans. He's certainly in a very advanced position right now if anything goes wrong, the Sligo goalkeeper. Mayo, by the way, have hit 1-4 without reply now. Sligo with just that Niall Murphy effort to show for their trouble so far. Well, there's no doubt the league campaign just ended certainly dented Sligo's morale coming into this game, and this won't have helped either, Billy Joe. The way Aidan O'Shea just shrugged aside the defenders and drilled it home.
Well, you know he wants to get back on a stronger foot. It's just that he's so big and strong and powerful and has such good ball handling skills from right with his hands that Eddie McGuinness there had no real opportunity to stop him. And once he's got behind that shoulder, then he just goes for power.
Once Sligo brought that ball into the tackle, it all started to unravel from there. Now a chance at the other end. Barry Gorman does what he's in there to do, wins that delivery, lays it off to Niall Murphy, and Niall Murphy, extremely accurate, pops over his second point. The man from Coolera, Strandhill, Sligo's only scorer so far.
Much easier for Gorman to win a ball there that's angled in towards him. He wins it, lays it off, and a really, really, really good shot from Murphy. And that's the sort of way you can make use of a big man.
In case you're wondering, the best we can make out right now is that Aidan O'Shea is playing most of the time at centre forward. He's being man-marked by Peter Laffey. who seems to have been given that specific role by Tony McEntee, but easier said than done. Here on this left wing, this is Nathan Mullen from Coolani Mullinabrina. O'Shea chases after him. Now Peter Laffey plays it through, but it was a pass hit more in hope than confidence, and Kevin McLaughlin, comfortable in that area of the field, just drifted in to fill the space. And now Mayo will reset and start again. Paddy Durkin, all-star back in 2019. Again, options left and right. Michael Plunkett back to O'Shea, captaining Mayo for the second championship in a row. Conor Loftus, Keegan, nice little give and go from the four-time All-Star, now Ryan O'Donoghue. And Sligo, with 13 men inside their own 45, will try and keep Mayo at bay. The goal scorer, Aidan O'Shea, back to McLaughlin. Mayo being patient. Paddy Durkin, gap appears, and Durkin has curled that in beautifully. Paddy Durkin showing all the quality and class that has marked him out in recent seasons, and that's his first of the day.
Patient play by Mayo, but Sligo just got deeper and deeper and deeper without being able to put any pressure on the Mayo ball carrier. And when Paddy Durkin finds himself 30 yards out in space like that, he's having a shot.
Plenty for Tony McEntee to ponder after 16 minutes here. All-Ireland winner with Crossmaglen Rangers and Armagh. Right now just trying to figure out what his next move is. David Quinn from Shamrock Gales. This is Paddy O'Connor. Elects to go long, breeze behind him. Niall Murphy takes it, shot smashes off the crossbar, back into play. And Robbie Henley will probably tell you he had it covered, but Niall Murphy hit that a ferocious belt. Shot from absolutely nothing. But Murphy, very much the danger man in the Sligo full forward line, and again shows just why, Billy Joe.
Murphy was absolutely clear in what he wanted to do there. You know, attacked the ball really well and shot on the turn. I think maybe some Mayo players might have been expecting him to take his mark, but really, really powerful shot. Just unlucky, he just didn't hit it low enough.
Certainly, I think we may have heard the referee's whistle there as Murphy won possession, perhaps anticipating the mark. Murphy played on, and the crossbar denied Sligo. Now there's a Sligo man down here. Looks like it's Paul Kilcoyne, the big number 9 from St Mary's here in Sligo town. And Paul Falloon wants a word with Aidan O'Shea. But looks like it's a very brief one. Let's take another look. In fact, it's David Quinn that ended up on the floor.
Yeah, flail an arm there. Maybe a late tackle from Quinn.
Well, we're hearing no action is being taken against Aidan O'Shea, Billy Joe. That might be worth another look.
Yeah, maybe, look, he did throw his arm. Once you raise your arm in that situation, there didn't seem to be a lot of force, but it was unnecessary, and he's lucky there not to get penalised.
Well, David Quinn is back up on his feet again, good to go. Here's another chance to see what happened.
Yeah, Quinn's a bit late there, but there's nothing in it. He's just trying to tackle the ball legitimately, and Aidan O'Shea kind of brushes him away with a forearm.
Game restarts, ball in Tommy Conroy's hands, and the ball dispatched over the bar. Well, he only needs a half a yard, the corner forward from the Neil. 2 points for him in this his second championship. Pace to burn, and so accurate. And Mayo lead by 8.
Using that pace to get on the inside shoulder, then stepping to his right for the space, and slots it over.
So there is the signal for the first water break of the first half. Mayo leading 1-7 to 2 points. Let's head to the studio and get the panel's thoughts.
Yeah, a good start. Obviously, Mayo being very strong. I think they're tackling really high up the pitch. So when they get their turnovers, then they're ending up in automatic scores. And Aidan O'Shea being very strong inside also. But Sligo struggling, playing direct ball in. But early on, it got cut out a lot. I think we've seen them kind of tweak that now, and a few better balls going in, and they've got a bit of joy, a bit unlucky there to hit the crossbar, Jim, with the second one.
Oh, absolutely. No, I totally agree with you. I think the the big factor for me in the game so far is Mayo, the way they're pushing up the field and they're getting those turnovers. And in fairness to Aidan O'Shea, you know, himself probably turned over 2 or 3 of them, and so he's had a huge impact. Tommy Conroy looks very sharp again, and Paddy Durkin again, you know, carrying on from last season, looks very, very sharp as well.
And something that they would have, you know, without Cillian O'Connor, who would have been one of their better tacklers, probably their best tackler over the last number of years, they'll take joy out of that. But the point that you were making to me earlier on as well, it's, you know, the quality of player coming out on the ball from Sligo versus the strength of tacklers from Mayo is probably why there's so many turnovers happening.
Absolutely.
So our thanks to Jim and Kieran. Jim mentioning turnovers there. Mayo managed to put 2-9 on the board from turnovers in the first half against Clare a couple of weeks ago. And here's a chance that Sligo had in that first quarter. And the more you look at it, the better it gets in terms of a goal-scoring opportunity, Billy Joe.
Yeah, Murphy absolutely sure what he wanted to do, knew that he was in a bit of space, took everyone by surprise, Robbie Henley included, and if it had been a few inches lower, I think it would have hit the back of the net.
So we're off and running again. Sligo trying to chase down an 8-point deficit, and Mayo sitting comfortably right now. Eddie McGuinness venturing upfield from his full-back station. He's got Matty Ruan after him. This is where Mayo are so dangerous, hunting down the ball carrier. Just one man up right now for the Connacht champions. That's Darren McHale. He's the closest player to goal as everybody else gets into position. Kilcoyne. Neat layoff to McNamara. This is Paddy O'Connor. He's going to fire it up on the breeze. Barry Gorman is in there close to goal. Gorman jumping with Mullen, and again the young footballer of the year gets a hand to it to knock it away. Back to Carabine, and Sean Carabine has knocked over a lovely score. That's his first, Sligo's third.
Yeah, Carabine, or Gorman knocks it down. Fairly moves it on quickly to the shooter, and a really, really good finish off his left foot for Carabine. Snapshot up and high and up and over the break, the block.
That's 2 scorers now for Sligo. Mayo have 5 different players on the score sheet. We're in the 21st minute. Paddy Durkin, lovely, neat sidestep, just to give him time to think. Now Tommy Conroy, trying to move up through the gears, elects to give it to McHale. And now Durkin again. 1 or 2 decoy runs being made. Michael Plunkett takes the pass. Conor Loftus takes over. Ryan O'Donoghue took it and gives it back again to Owen McLaughlin. Ryan Feely trying to stand O'Donoghue up. Ryan O'Donoghue shoots over the defender and over the bar. Lovely, crisp strike from Ryan O'Donoghue. 2 points for the corner forward.
Again, patience from Mayo. Ryan O'Donoghue this time makes the right decision, finds himself in enough space, backs himself.
So Mayo now have put 1-8 on the board, all but 1 point of that tally from open play. And certainly things going very much to plan for James Horan and his team so far. All the while, Leitrim waiting in the wings to play the winners of this game in the Connacht semi-final in a fortnight's time. Eddie McGuinness crosses the halfway line to Sean Carabine, who's moved closer to the Mayo goal. Enda Hession is after him. Carabine gets the shot away, but wasn't able to guide it in. And that's a second wide for Sligo. The latest from the boot of Sean Carabine. And Rob Henley's kick-out has already been dispatched away to Oisín Mullen. Matty Ruan on this right wing. This is third championship campaign. Forward to Kevin McLaughlin, man making his 150th appearance for Mayo this evening. Lovely ball to Aidan O'Shea, who just drifted in close to goal, and Aidan O'Shea spins, shoots and scores. 1-1 for the Mayo captain, who's just gliding in and out between centre and full forward and causing Sligo plenty of problems.
All about the timing of the pass from McLaughlin there. Just waits till Aidan O'Shea is ready for it, taking it on the half turn.
Well, James Horan, the Mayo manager, actually played here 21 years ago when Sligo knocked Mayo out of the Connacht Championship. At the first year of the backdoor championship as well. So he has experienced both sides of championship days here at the home of Sligo football. As Paddy Durkin takes the pass, goes for the goal, back off the bar. You could just see it open up for him. He was winding up for the point initially, then went for the goal. Jordan Flynn picks up the pieces, and Jordan Flynn will help himself to his first score of the day.
Paddy Durkin here, composure, trying to pass it with his left foot into the top corner, very unlucky. Jordan Flynn picks it up, ready on the spot, finds a bit of space, and hooks it over the bar. But that's about the confidence Paddy Durkin has to side-foot it, try to side-foot it into the top corner.
Well, that now means 5 of Mayo's 6 forwards have scored. O'Shea's in again, and O'Shea sticks it in the net for the second time. Well, it's a bit like buses for O'Shea today. He's waited 5 years for his first championship goal. He's hit 2 in the first half.
Again, Sligo under severe pressure. Ryan O'Donoghue running straight at the heart of the defence. Aidan O'Shea right on his shoulder, passes his times right, and he just gets a shot away before Kilgannon can get out to him.
Well, the floodgates now starting to open in a big way. Mayo's lead out to 13 points already. And we're only in the 25th minute. And as you mentioned earlier, Billy Joe, you can just see Sligo dropping deeper and deeper the longer the half goes on.
Well, against Mayo, particularly when they have a wave of bodies in the middle third, if you let them get close or high up the field without getting enough pressure on them.
Great take by O'Shea from the pass from Plunkett. And right now, there's very little Sligo can do about that man, Aidan O'Shea. He turns 31 next Tuesday, and he's playing with all the vigour and verve of a man 10 years younger.
Good angle on that ball, and Aidan's such a big man. He collects it, moves on to a stronger left foot.
Well, Sligo won't need reminding. He scored 3-4 in the Connacht final against them back in 2015. He's already helped himself to 2-2 here in this first half. Mayo now 14 points in front, and Sligo struggling to get any sort of rhythm or fluency into their attacking play. They're being hassled and harried from pillar to post. Sean Carabine tries to get something moving. Now Liam Gahan from the 5 in a row county champions Tour de Strand, and that is much better. Liam Gahan from way out the field struck it right on the sweet spot, and his first score is a spectacular one.
He's a really good left foot there, and he shows it.
Terrific score from Gahan, but Sligo need much more. Again, it's a quick restart from Henley, and Darren McHale is away. Nobody able to keep with him. McHale settles down, and Darren McHale this time misses the target. 4 wides for Mayo, and James Horan, a man who demands very high standards, not happy with that miss by the look of things.
In the absence of Cillian O'Connor, it's something James Horan will be looking to see from his forwards, is that ruthlessness that Cillian has often shown in the past, where if the score is there to be taken, he very often makes the right decision, and maybe McHale had a pass there instead of going himself.
Breaking ball won by Ryan O'Donoghue, who's popping up everywhere and anywhere. Again, Paddy Durkin is that link man between defence and attack to Tommy Conroy, who claims the mark at his leisure. And this will be target practice for the young man from Cong. He's just 21 years of age, and he's left that short. Just a little careless with the kick at goal there, and no doubt that will come up in the post-match discussion among the Mayo squad. Mayo leave 1 score behind them as Carabine drives up through the middle. Now Peter Laffey. Niall Murphy, busy in that inside forward line as ever. Sean Carabine again, man who's played in 3 or 4 different lines out the field for Sligo over the last few weeks. Niall Murphy pops up once more. 3 Mayo men blocking his route to goal. You can make it 4. Murphy swivels, and Niall Murphy somehow manages to dig out a score. Well, he did play international rules with Ireland back in 2017. He's a quality footballer, and that is some score.
Yeah, it looked like he was running down a blind alley there, but he just turns his body to face in the right direction and somehow gets the ball to his right boot.
So 3 points for Murphy, 5 for Sligo. Mayo long gone, down at the other end. Mullen to McHale. Darren McHale to Tommy Conroy. From a standing start, just goes by. McKenna goes for goal, blocked by Kilcannon, and Darren McHale sticks the rebound in the back of the net. Well, it is a first championship goal for Darren McHale from Knockmore. The pressure was relentless, and Sligo crack again.
Acceleration from Tommy Conroy, and really a poacher's finish there from McHale on the spot, right place, right time, side for home.
Well, the dam now has well and truly broken. 1-3 for Darren McHale so far. The gap is out to 15 points, and this is already turning into a landslide for Sligo to cope with. And you just start to wonder, Billy Joe, Tony McEntee, Joe Kane, Mark Breheny, what sort of messages they're trying to send in there right now. What can they do to try and stop the rod?
Well, they need to retain possession. It's a damage limitations exercise in many ways, and if they keep turning the ball over quickly, well, no better team than Mayo to counter-attack out of those situations. But they really need to just try and slow down the pace of the game, retain possession, even go left to right if they have to, just to try and take the heat out of the tempo maybe that Mayo are playing the game at, and get the ball to Carabine and Murphy as often as he possibly can.
Mayo again attacking in waves. Durkin to McHale, thought about the mark, decides to play on, and it turns out to be a good decision. Darren McHale is filling his boots. 1-4 now for the Mayo number 11. It's just his 2nd ever start at senior level, and plenty for the Mayo supporters here at Markievicz Park to smile about. Tony McEntee is going to make a change. No surprise to see some remedial work being carried out on the defence, and it's number 4, Evan Lyons, who comes in to make his championship debut, and Carl McKenna is the player who's being called ashore. But there's also a second change actually coming. Keelan Cawley, the Sligo captain, who didn't start, he's in, and it looks like it is Liam Gahan who's being replaced. So 2 changes by Tony McEntee. Out go Liam Gahan and Carl McKenna, and in come Keelan Cawley and Evan Lyons. So Tony McEntee doing what he can to shake things up and mix it up, but really it could have been any 2 players who came out if Sligo were intent on making changes, Billy Joe.
It is. It's as much about a message to the players that are out in the field to dig in and show a bit of heart and pride and try and, you know, that's all you're playing for now from a Sligo point of view. But as I said earlier, there's a couple of, you know, Carabine and Murphy are playing pretty well, and if they can get them the ball, you know, maybe they can be the players that can finish.
So Sean Carabine to strike this free. His brother David plays inter-county football with London. In fact, they were on opposite sides a couple of times over the last few seasons. Carabine, this looks like it's going to be short. Henley with the fists gets it away, and Enda Hessian is there to pick up the break. Jordan Flynn has the strength to hold off Gordon, but the hand pass was just a little loose, and Evan Lyons will get a chance to drive Sligo down the field. We're into the last 3 minutes of normal time. Sean Carabine on the 45, Breeze behind him, winds up, hits it with everything he has, and the umpires like it, and that is Sligo's score of the day. It's Sean Carabine's 2nd as he tries to get them going and tries to give them something to build up.
Well, if Tony McEntee is thinking of building for the future, it's, you know, players like Carabine and Murphy that are have put their hands up in these opening 32 minutes, that they can play at this level against a Division 1 team.
Eddie McGuinness there all over Tommy Conroy and gives away the free. But he really is a very hard man to get a handle on, Billy Joe. Tommy Conroy, as you mentioned earlier, he's got the pace, he's bulked up during the off-season to mean he's now got the power as well.
Yes, and you don't want to give him any yard of space, like you saw a couple of moments ago for the goal, that he showed that deadly acceleration that he has there. So just too close and ended up being a push in the back as he was slowing down to collect the ball.
So Ryan O'Donoghue, man who played some soccer at under-19 level with Sligo Rovers a few years ago, has a nice handy free to top up his personal tally. And James Horan's man now 16 points in front. And that gap, that lead heading in very much one direction by the looks of things. Sligo now, I'm sure, anxious to get in at half-time and try and get reorganised and come up with a plan B for the second half. Paddy O'Connor did everything he could there to hang on to that ball, but ends up giving it straight to Jordan Flynn. And now Conroy running hard at the Sligo crossbar. He beats lines, beats McGuinness. Whistle goes, free out for overcarrying. Tommy Conroy just held on a fraction too long there.
Yes, overcarries it there at the end, too many steps, just as it's starting to burn a little after a 40-metre sprint. Again, he's keen always to show how quick he is, but on that occasion, couldn't get the bouncer solo in.
Well, you just caught a glimpse there a moment ago of Liam Gahan's face sitting in the stand, having been taken off. Tells its own story. By the way, 3-11 of Mayo's tally has come from open play so far. So already they're on the way to breaking all sorts of records if they keep that scoring rate up as we head towards additional time at the end of the first half. Here's Keelan Cawley, and the Sligo captain, leading by example, cuts through, hits the target, and that's much better. So we're going to have at least 2 minutes of additional time at the end of this first half. Mayo tipping along, 15 points in front. Enda Hession across to Michael Plunkett. Everyone on the same wavelength in a Mayo jersey as they move into the Sligo half. Ruan, O'Donoghue. Already Owen McLaughlin is on the move, and here he is, pass delivered into his path. Back to Matthew Ruan again. He's being faced by Paddy O'Connor. Ruan takes on the shot and into the slight breeze. Just leaves it short into Kilgannon's hands.
Yeah, again, too easy really for Mayo to get the shot away. Poor execution in that instance by Ruan, but Sligo again dropped much too deep. A few moments ago, Keelan Cawley, the ball carrier there, coming off the bench, showing a bit of leadership, showing a bit of pride. They'll need more of that in the second half.
Nathan Mullen, support outside from Paddy O'Connor, tries to slice it with the outside of the right, and Paddy O'Connor makes it look easy. Lovely score. And who's been on the Sligo panel now for the last 5 years with his first of the day, and that is the cue for Sligo to make a change, and it's Red Oak Murphy who's going to come in, the Curry club man, to make his championship debut deep in first half stoppage time. And the man who's been replaced, number 18, Barry Gorman, the big target man in the Sligo full forward line, who Billy Joe found the going very tough against the Young Footballer of the Year, Oisín Mullen.
He did, but a very, very difficult job he had, and for large stages of this first half, he's left isolated on his own. Not another Sligo player within 60, 70 metres of him. And then when the ball was played in, it was played in much too straight down the barrel, where Oisín Mullen, in fairness, did really well, used his strength to kind of knock him off balance. A couple of times the ball came in with a bit of an angle. He did okay and won those and brought teammates into the game, but just not enough of an impact.
So there is the half-time whistle, and the ball ends up in the hands of one of Mayo's goal scorers, Darren McHale. There's the other Mayo captain, Aidan O'Shea. 2-2 for him in this first half from open play. By and large, it's been one-way traffic here at Markievicz Park, and the Connacht champions in the driving seat. At half-time, it's Mayo 3-13, Sligo 8 points.
Pretty surreal, so it is, just realising that sometimes when you dream hard enough, they do come true.
From the moment I laid eyes on you, this is what I said, I see it, and I like it, and I want it, yes I do, I need it to make me happy, baby, yes I do mean you, I see it, and I like it, and I want it, yes I do.
Sue just bought some dog treats with Visa, so she won't be left out of pocket if her card is used fraudulently. Now Sue's feeling pretty confident. Confident enough to launch Rover's career as a dogfluencer. Visa's zero liability helps protect you from fraud. We just can't protect you from yourself.
At Macmillan, we're tough. Tender. And sometimes clowns. Whatever it takes to help people living with cancer. But we can only do it with your help.
Find out your home's value instantly. Enter your postcode now for your free online valuation estimate. Visit onthemarket.com.
Nothing compares to a real holiday, especially when you know that everything is taken care of. The TUI Holiday Promise puts flexibility first with free changes, plus exclusive testing packages from just £20 per person. Book your summer holiday with confidence. TUI, discover your smile at All Protected.
Yeah, I'll email it over now. Morning.
Take the drama out of your business. With unbreakable Wi-Fi, backed by EE's mobile network. All business, no drama.
Heather Knight's England take on India in the first of 3 one-day internationals. Live only on Sky Sports.
The Kings of Destruction are back.
There will be a lot of big challenges this year.
And just like before, they won't leave history in ruin.
Very rare. Real gold. Get in the building and remove anything of value.
Salvage Kings. Mondays at 10 or catch up with the series on demand.
SuperValue believe in community. And community includes everyone.
Welcome back. Well, these sides met in 2017. There were 4 points between them at half-time. There are 14 between them now as it stands. And lads, I suppose it's pretty much gone according to script, hasn't it, Kieran?
Yeah, it has. You know, this is, we said beforehand, Mayo are either going to walk all over them, and we'd say that Sligo aren't up to it at the moment, or Sligo put it up to them and we'd be questioning Mayo. But Mayo have come out ruthless, very, you know, their tackling, their turnover rate, you know, real edge, which you have to give James Horan credit for it. You know, I think managers have to get their players right for these games as well as big games, and I think Mayo have been really at it, so credit goes to James Horan for having these players ready.
You're nodding in agreement there, Jim, with
absolutely. Very, very professional job by them, you know, and you still have to go out and play the game, and you've got to be there and do everything according to plan, and that's what they've done, and they've been ruthless and they've been dangerous and asked a lot of questions off Sligo.
Let's take a look at these goals now, because the game is pretty much over with these ones. Aidan O'Shea's doing pretty well.
Yes, this one here is just about power, isn't it? It's, it's direct and it's aggressive, and he's just gonna, this determination gets him in there to put the ball in the back of the net. Interestingly, the 3 goals have come from running the ball, and we spoke about that beforehand, and that's the dynamic. Previous to this, if you were saying Mayo was going to score 3 goals, it would be 1 or 2 high balls into the box. So you can see the formation of what's coming down the line in the championship. Pace, power, aggressiveness. This is brilliant here, Tommy Connery. The pace here that he's made that goal. Asked the question, and then young McHale on his debut, puts the ball in the back of the net, and I'm delighted for him, to be honest with you, because your debut is a very, very big occasion in your life, and he's just grasped it, really, really well, and full credit to him. And it's a very special moment in your career, and I'm sure it's very special for his family as well, sitting and watching it.
Yeah, and this is his first championship. I think he came on maybe as a sub last year against Leitrim, but 1-4. Like, what can you say about this lad, Kieran?
Yeah, no, as Jim said, exactly. His first start is there would have been a bit of pressure on him. He's coming into a team and wanting to kind of really add to it, and right from the get-go, he 3 points within 5 minutes. Grania, this was a lovely little step on the inside of the left boot, but just his movement and how hard he's running, and the way he's showing for ball is strong, and could have taken marks on that one, but again played it live and popped it over the bar, which we saw Tommy Conroy, I think, missing one earlier on when he took a mark, probably putting a bit of pressure on themselves. I think when they're that close to goals and they're 1-on-1, you're nearly better off going at it straight away, giving yourself the option to take on the man. If you don't fancy it, you can pop it over the bar. I think non-free takers taking marks, sometimes it puts a lot of pressure on them when they step back and have to take it. So brilliant so far for him on his first start for Mayo, and it gives them a bit of a lift when you see with Killian gone. And then you see a guy coming in on his first start getting 1-4 in the first half. So that'll give them a bit of...
And Aidan O'Shea scoring heavy as well.
Exactly. I'm just going to lead to that, to Peter there. Peter, you might want to say something about that.
Did Jim say that that man couldn't score?
I'll give you a few stats in a minute when you come back to me, and we can have a conversation.
Well, he's gonna have a right few more to score if he's going to catch up with Killian O'Connor. That's for sure. I'd say Tony McEntee will be very unhappy with his Sligo players at half time. Okay, we know they're Division 14. There's a gulf in class in terms of strength and conditioning, skill levels and all the rest. But the one thing that they needed to show here, Grania, was intensity and to be competitive. And it's all the way about. It's Mayo that's turning them over. And again, in the second half, if they're going to get on out of it, surely they've got to come out with a wee bit more fight. But before the game, I think it was Paddy Durkin was running about with a bib on him. And there was different names on different bibs, but the name that was, or the words on his bib was ruthless. And as the boy says, that's what Mayo have been in this first half. Very good.
Yeah, really impressive from them. But just a word on Sligo. I mean, Peter then talked about intent, but in terms of team selection, like we see Keelan Caldy, who, when you're reading all the reports, he's one of the major players. Now, maybe there was an injury, maybe there was something we're not sure about, but he's only come on towards the latter part of the second half and scored a point when he came on. Like, is that a strange decision for you guys?
Listen, nobody knows what goes on behind the dressing room door, only the people close to the action, and so it's very hard to comment on that. But I would say is it looks like Division 4 against Division 1. There's no doubt about that. And strength and conditioning is a word that's bandied about a lot, but if you look at the two teams there, you could probably say both of them have the strength, but there's only one team well conditioned. Sligo were struggling from the first 5 minutes in terms of getting back in and making those lung busters going forward and everything. Mayo have that in the tank, and they have that year after year for a long time now. And the work that they're doing as well, Mayo, developing these athletes, like it's myself and Kieran were speaking about it off camera. It's so obvious, even the new players coming in, they all have this athletic profile, and it's probably something that's originating in their own thought processes in terms of Dublin. It's something that they have to match them on, and you can just see that it's taken them in a different direction in terms of how they're going to play their football because of the types of athletes that they're developing right now.
Okay, Peter, let's head back to you. What stood out to you today about that performance so far?
Yeah, well, we spoke about the Mayo running game, how good they are at moving the ball, and so many of their scores have come from running the ball. And also turnovers, like Clare, they've turned Sligo over. But one aspect of their game that I want to look at is the long ball into their full forward line. We talked about what Aidan O'Shea play in there and what type of ball, what the service would be like. And we're going to contrast that with Sligo. Big Barry Gorman came in, played the edge of the square, and just see the difference in the two sides whenever the ball was delivered in. We'll look at the Sligo attack first of all. Now, Mayo's work rate in the middle third was very good, and they prevented a lot of ball from being kicked in, but occasionally Sligo did have time to get the head up and to kick the ball in. And if you look at the point of contact, the nearest men around the ball are Mayo men, and the nearest Sligo man is outside the 45-metre line. So any chance of getting a breaking ball was gone. So there's one thing playing a big man in there, but they need support in there quickly. This was another example in the first half. Sligo in possession. The ball is kicked in. Again, Oisin Mullen is man marking Barry Gorman. He's out in front, but the nearest men and underneath the jumpers are two Mayo men, Paddy Durkin in pole position. The ball breaks to them, and Mayo break out. Compare that with the Mayo attack, and okay, for the majority of the time we said that they were running the ball in. This came from a kick-out, and again, Mayo can dance in the middle third on kick-outs. They're winning a lot of Sligo kick-outs. This time, it's a hit-and-hope ball, and the target is Tommy Conroy in here. It's a 50-50 ball, and it looks as if the Sligo men in this second are in pole position, but watch the movement of Darren McHale. Again, 90% of breaks fall immediately in front of the jumpers. The timing of his run is perfect to get in underneath the jumpers, and unlike Sligo, the ball is kicked over the bar. Second time round, the few occasions that Aidan O'Shea was played on the edge of the square, let's see what's happening. We can take it for granted that the players around him, that there's going to be plenty of movement. There's always options for the Mayo player in the ball to give a fist pass, or there's always players supporting. But how well have they used Aidan O'Shea? In this case, Kevin McLaughlin could easily tap the ball over the bar. But what I like about this, and this is something that I expect you could see of Mayo coming later on. Okay, the target is the big man, Aidan O'Shea, but there's two players. As soon as that ball's kicked in, they're ready to come in off him to try and get. Now, Aidan elects not to use him. He kicks the ball over the bar. But the contrast in the style, Sligo hit and hope at times. They're not playing in unison, whereas Mayo, okay, they're very good at carrying the ball, but that's a serious option, a serious weapon to have whenever they decide to use the long ball as well.
OK, Peter, thanks a million for that. There are, of course, 14 points between the sides at half-time. Plenty to ponder for Sligo during the break. We'll be back with more after this.
That one day is what you live for. Winning the whole thing is what you dream of.
Smile Direct Club. These are Smile Direct Club aligners. They're laser cut for comfort to gently straighten teeth under a dentist's direction. They can turn a smile like this into a smile like this in as little as 4 to 6 months. So choose fast. Choose smart. Choose smile. Start from home. Visit smiledirectclub.co.uk.
What a piece of work is a man. How noble in reason. How infinite in faculty. In form and moving, how express and admirable. And yet, to me, what is this quintessence of dust?
Why are you blowing that horn?
It's a pitch-up horn. It's to let people know that there are still loads of beautiful campsites available across the UK this summer on pitchup.com.
What's pitchup.com?
It's one of the leading booking sites for camping and glamping holidays in the UK. And it's one of the fastest and easiest ways to book your camping holiday this summer.
Can I blow the horn?
No. This summer, book now on pitchup.com.
So, what means the world to you? Power it. Find what drives you most and count on it. Show that your greatness comes from within. Every little thing is worth it. Go all in. Power yourself, your aims, your home. Power your world. Ioniq 5, all electric.
The challenge is to find our Olympic sport.
Normally, we get given something to do.
But now, we are in control of our destiny.
Exactly. He was good at something, but just not as good as me.
There must be one here that we're going to excel at.
Rob and Romesh join up with Britain's best athletes and go head-to-head.
Rob definitely pushed it to his limits.
I gave all of the effort that I wanted to give.
To find their true calling.
What were we thinking?
Rob and Romesh Versus starts Thursday the 8th of July on Sky One.
Pretty surreal, so it is, just realising that sometimes when you dream hard enough, they do come true.
Welcome back, and it is Mayo who lead by 14 points at half-time here. So, difficult task in the dressing room now, lads, for Sligo. I mean, Mayo, you will expect, will push on. It'll not be a repeat performance against Clare, which we saw in the league semi-final. Just maybe a word on Sligo, though, like just for Tony McDee, lads coming in now, what do you say to them? What do they need to do in the second half?
They just have to shore it up, you know, try and be as competitive as they can and ask as many questions of Mayo as they can. It's as simple as that. Discipline's going to be very important as well. Don't get frustrated. Don't lose your discipline. You know, if you're going to get back and defend properly. Don't give away fouls. Don't make it easy for Mayo. Ask questions of them and just take it from there.
OK, well, we'll see what will happen. We expect Mayo to push on. Let's head back then to our commentary team for the second half. It's Mike Finnerty and Billy Joe Padden.
Thank you very much, Grania. Welcome back to Markievicz Park. Well, among the crowd here this evening, you see in the centre of your picture, Cillian O'Connor in conversation there with the Mayo selector, Kieran MacDonald. A penny for the thoughts of Cillian this evening, Billy Joe.
Well, he'll be disappointed he's not out there in the thick of the action, adding to his scoring stats. But it'll be a difficult time for him as rehab, but we know he has the determination to get back to the top level again.
So the second half restarts. No changes on either side, we're hearing. Just picking through some of the stats from the first half. Paddy Durkin handled the ball more than anybody else out there. 16 possessions, closely followed by Darren McHale on 15 as Sligo cut through. Here's a chance for Mikey Gordon. And there is Sligo's first score of the second half, and it comes inside 25 seconds from the boot of Mikey Gordon from Eastkey.
Yeah, David Quinn finds himself in a pocket of space and uses the ball very well, and Mikey Gordon comes back on that stronger left foot and smashes it over the bar.
Well, that score from Mikey Gordon now means that Sligo have hit 3 in a row in this game. First time they've hit any sort of a little purple patch. No surprise either that Tony McEntee squeezed every last moment out of the half-time break. I'm sure the message delivered was forthright and very straightforward. Sligo have 35 minutes or so to try and put some respectability on this scoreline.
I'm here, Collie, I'm here. Come back.
Tommy Conroy waits for the defender to make his move, then Conroy sprints into space, but that one is hooked away for Mayo's 5th wide of the game. Worth pointing out as well, it's 6 years now since Sligo beat a home county in the Connacht Championship. That was a semi-final win against Roscommon back in 2015. Since then, their only wins in the provincial championship have been against London and New York, so they have been struggling now for quite a while to turn over the likes of Mayo, Galway and Roscommon and Leitrim.
It's very much back to basics for Tony McEntee and Sligo, and as the lads were talking at half-time, you know, the first thing they have to sort out is their conditioning, to try and get up, close that gap in conditioning between a Division 4 side and a Division 1 team.
Ball moved out of the Sligo defence as far as David Quinn. Under pressure here is Evan Lyons being hunted by Darren McHale. Ryan Feely having a real baptism of fire on his championship debut. Wins a free. Man who's played quite a bit of rugby with Sligo RFC at scrum half. Ball now in the hands of Red Oak Murphy. Very exciting young forward who spent a spell in Australia playing AFL with North Melbourne, but back in the Curry and Sligo colours again. That attempt, though, to get a Sligo attack firing has come to nothing. And Oisin Mullen will literally walk it clear to Lee Keegan. Well, Mayo have been in front since the 5th minute. And right now they're playing this game at their own pace and on very much their terms as Conor Loftus gets a touch. Mayo just inviting Sligo to come out and play and happy enough to bide their time.
Sligo are in protection mode in terms of the scoreline. They don't want to push themselves out and leave them exposed at the back. And Mayo, as you can understand, are no sense of urgency to add to the scoreboard here. They're well in control of the game. And maybe even James Horn on the sideline is taking an opportunity to maybe look ahead to the battles ahead.
Certainly seems like only a matter of time now until some Mayo subs start to roll in. Last year's beaten All-Ireland finalists have done the hard work as Paddy Durkin drives through, surges into the Sligo half. Enda Hession gets forward. Aidan O'Shea playing like he means business this evening, and he's been caught as he tried to waltz his way through the Sligo cover. Free in. Such a big man, and once he starts to move, very hard to stop. He was caught there by a stray hand of David Quinn.
Yeah, a slap on the back of the head there as he's kind of stooping in. It's a yellow card tackle, a flailing arm like that. But again, you see the quick feet for a big man on Aidan O'Shea there, that moving to his left, lifting the ball over the defender, trying to get in on his left foot, and it's another scoring opportunity for Mayo.
As you said, it is indeed a yellow for Quinn. They did have a run in during the first half as well, Quinn and O'Shea, as Ryan O'Donoghue makes no mistake with the free. That's 4 points for him, making his 6th championship appearance this evening. One of many players blooded by James Horan in the championship over the last few months. Of course, just 6 months now since the All-Ireland final between Mayo and Dublin. And the championship back in full swing again this weekend. So are Mayo. Darren McHale takes the pass from Flynn. O'Shea again involved. So much ball going through the Mayo number 14. Sligo boot there, just knocked it away from him though. Chance for Sligo perhaps to play on the break, but Red Oak Murphy bottled up by a combination of Plunkett and Flynn.
Slight difference with the Mayo setup at the minute, obviously, with the big lead. Enda Hession is staying back and is sweeping as Paddy Durkin picks up that ball. Enda Hession again is ready to run off the shoulder. It's not a totally defensive tactic. He has that license to move forward, and indeed was involved in the move a few moments ago where Aidan O'Shea got fouled.
Well, Enda Hession, who turned 20 just a few months ago, was eligible for the under-20 grade with Mayo this season, but this run out this evening will make him ineligible now for their championship game in a few weeks' time. As Carabine plays it across to David Quinn. Sligo trying to work some combinations. Niall Murphy, the moving target in that full forward line, and Niall Murphy shoots on sight, but this one just seemed to get caught by the breeze, and that's away for a 3rd Sligo miss. Mark Breheny at the side of Tony McEntee. Mark Breheny, who played in so many of Sligo's big championship games over the years. As Jordan Flynn carries it forward, being encouraged to keep going by Aidan O'Shea. Lee Keegan makes a dummy run. And eventually Jordan Flynn sprays it across the field to Plunkett, who already had picked out the pass to Ryan O'Donoghue. Mayo thinking quicker and moving the ball quicker than Sligo, and have been since the very start. Kevin McLaughlin. That little goose step initially to try and wrong foot Quinn. Now Aidan O'Shea. Nearest Sligo player to him is Peter Laffey. Back to McLaughlin, the only Mayo forward who hadn't scored, and that still remains the case. Kevin McLaughlin racking up Mayo's 6th wide of this Connacht Championship quarter-final.
What was most interesting about that move is that at one stage Aidan O'Shea was pointing Kevin McLaughlin where he wanted him to go and where the space was.
Free to Mayo, Enda Hessian rather, who picked up the bang there. Well, how Sligo could do with some of their injured players this evening, just to inject a bit of experience and energy into their ranks right now. Pat Hughes, Kyle Cawley, Cian Breheny, all out at the moment for one reason or another. And as a result, their squad well stretched.
But they can use this experience whereas it's not going to be a memorable memory for them. It's something that they can look back on and say, this is the lowest ebb we were at and we've got to build from here. And back in 2010, Mayo came here and Sligo beat them, and it's kind of out of the ashes of that defeat that this Mayo team over the last 10 years have developed and improved. And James Horan was instrumental in that, obviously taking over the Mayo's manager job in 2011. But Sligo, that's where they're at. They have to find themselves. They find themselves now at a low ebb, and they've got to try and build something from here.
Mention of 2010, that was Keelan Cawley who played that pass. He made his championship debut that night when Sligo beat Mayo here in the Connacht Championship, their last win in the fixture. The only other player out here this evening who also started that game was Mayo's Kevin McLaughlin. Aidan O'Shea coming in off the bench. Conor Loftus claims the kick out and the mark. Picks out his cross-Malina teammate Jordan Flynn to Darren McHale from over the road in Knockmore, and Darren McHale saunters through and chips over his 5th point. 1-5 for the man from the county senior champions, and he has slotted into that forward line very nicely.
Jordan Flynn, plays the simple pass to the player running off his shoulder, and no pressure at all on McHale as he just strolls through the middle and tops it over.
So Mayo's lead now stands at 15 points. They did beat Sligo by 26 in that Connacht final back in 2015. Sligo will be doing everything in their power to prevent a repeat of that as Red Oak Murphy tries to barrel his way through, and he was being fouled. You can tell by Matthew Ruan's reaction there, he didn't necessarily agree.
No, Matthew Rowan and Enda Hessian, they're right there on it, but from the referee's point of view in that situation, both Mayo tacklers, their hands do not leave the Sligo jersey. They're grappling with Red Oak there, whereas it really needs to be an in-out movement there to show the referee that you're not pulling.
So Niall Murphy, who actually played with the Sligo club in the New York Championship last season, clips over his 4th point. There's some activity on the Mayo bench by the looks of things, and Fergal Boland is going to come in. Straight swap, it's half forward for a half forward. Jordan Flynn is the player who will be replaced, and Fergal Boland's arrival means this is his first championship appearance since the 2019 All-Ireland semi-final defeat to Dublin.
Well, it's a like-for-like replacement. Fergal Boland will perform the same role as Jordan Flynn. He'll keep it wide out here on the left-hand side, keeping the width in the attack. Good link player, will make the right decision, keep possession very well, and I suppose that's what James Horan is looking for in these latter stages of this game.
He was actually tried out in the half-back line a few weeks ago in the Allianz League against Meath. Acquitted himself well, and very much a utility man in the Mayo squad. Here is the current number 7, Owen McLaughlin, back to Loftus, and once more Mayo play keep ball, and Sligo drop back into position, waiting to engage. Keelan Cawley moving in on Mullen, ball already gone to McLaughlin. Oisin Mullen again, another man making just his 6th championship appearance this evening. Enda Hessian gives and takes the return pass. And all of this just tiring Sligo out that little bit more, drawing them out that little bit more. And you can only imagine how frustrated they must be.
Yeah, they'll feel it in their lungs now, because they're not used to playing at the pace that Mayo played at in that first half. But I suppose they're looking for some respectability on the scoreline, and they'll be happy to just maybe keep Mayo at bay and ensure that they're not down there conceding goals and more scores in a quick period of time like they did in the first half. So it's about them seeing out this game, trying to take something from it, some pride, and you can be sure that when Tony McEntee comes back and looks at the ashes of this game, he'll find some things about, I suppose, the personality, the mentality of some of his players who continues to play for the full 70 minutes.
Well, they've shared 4 points evenly between them since the second half started. That gives something for Sligo to work with, as Kevin McLaughlin keeps on shooting, still looking for that first score, that elusive first score. Same outcome, another miss. His eye just not in quite yet. James Horan knows all about kicking big scores in championship matches. Of course, a two-time All-Star back in the day, back in the mid to late 90s. Sligo give that ball away very cheaply. Boland onto it quickly. Now Aidan O'Shea. 3 or 4 Sligo players drawn to him. There has to be a free man, and there is. It's Boland. Well, Mayo played for that score. They worked it beautifully, and Fergal Boland makes an instant impact.
Yeah, Aidan O'Shea manages to hold on to it. Boland's, you know, sitting back out there. Aidan O'Shea gets it out to him, and that's a skill that Fergal Boland has. He's very good right foot, a very controlled strike, and taps it over. But again, another assist for Aidan O'Shea. He's having a big impact on this game.
Kilgannon's kick out towards Kilcoyne, smashed forward by Matthew Ruan. Line ball to Sligo. Well, the signs were certainly ominous for the home side coming into this game. A run of 3 straight defeats against Antrim, Louth and Wexford, and this is another problem. Collision between 2 Sligo players here just in front of us, and both have come off the worse for wear. It really has been one of those days. There you can see a heavy collision.
A lack of communication in that instance there, and Nathan Mullen looked to maybe have got it in the chin or the face, and hopefully both lads are okay. And obviously you have to take care to go through all the concussion protocols.
So Paul Kilcoyne and Nathan Mullen being worked on. Sligo coach Joe Kane there in conversation with Tony McEntee. They're going to make some more changes by the looks of things. But with this being a knockout championship, it will be very much back to the drawing board for them and for their team. Their season will come to an end when the final whistle blows here. So good to see both Nathan Mullen and Paul Kilcoyne back on their feet. None the worse for that collision, and Mayo back on the ball again. Owen McLaughlin. Sligo have withdrawn 13 players into their own half, doing their utmost to keep Mayo at arm's length for as long as they can. Now Niall Murphy gives chase to Loftus. Ball spilled by Owen McLaughlin, but it falls kindly for him, and he snaps up the break. McLaughlin solos first with the left, now the right. He's in around the back, and Owen McLaughlin redeemed that situation really well. He'd lost the ball initially, made up for the mistake, and the former junior Irish cycling champion has so much pace that he just cut through and took the score.
That's what it's all about, Mike, that pace. You know, even there you see his skill level improving there, a right-footed solo. Maybe could have tried to go around the keeper and go for the goal there, but settles for the point. Maybe in a game where more things are at stake, he might be more ruthless.
And Owen McLaughlin becomes the 8th different scorer for Mayo this evening. Their lead now pushed out to 16 points. Matthew Ruan to his Brafey teammate Aidan O'Shea. Sold an effortless dummy there to the Sligo tackler Niall Murphy, and that's a Stonewall free foul by Mikey Gordon on Tommy Conroy. And I think the fatigue you mentioned a few minutes ago, Billy Joe, now certainly starting to set in. That was very high by Mikey Gordon.
Yeah, it's a yellow all day. Mikey Gordon knows he's beaten Tommy Conroy with that exceptional acceleration. Again, just moves through the gears. And luckily for Tommy, I think he was half expecting it and was able to protect himself on the fall. Another opportunity for Ryan O'Donoghue.
So Ryan O'Donoghue, man who's worn the green of Ireland at schoolboys level, played for the Republic of Ireland during his teenage years, pops over that free, and Paul Falloon says now is as good a time as any to call for the second half water break. It's Mayo 3:18, Sligo 10 points as we head back down to Killarney, and we'll hear from the panel again.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Listen, for me, I think that Sligo are compromised at the moment, and they're very, very deep. And I think, you know, they'd be probably best served as pushing out very, very aggressively and trying to get some contact in them, because really it's a very low block now, and they're sitting in, and they may keep the goals out, but they're definitely not going to get up the field and do anything at all on that side of it. And maybe that is the objective, not to concede any more goals. But I think, you know, if they can even push it out to the middle sector and look to make contact and try and force a couple of turnovers, because at the moment it's going to end up in a situation where they become demoralised, and that's not going to be any good for them moving forward. And I think they're better having a cut at it and forcing the game out the park a bit, and at least they can maybe build on that.
Yeah, I think, look, Niall Murphy's probably telling him the same thing inside. He's full forward. There's nobody up around him. He's back working himself, obviously. But, look, they're down 27-10 at the moment, 17 points. It's damage limitations it is, but at least try and get a bit of confidence and try and push forward, try and express yourself as footballers at this stage of it, because, you know, just sitting back isn't working, because Mayo are too powerful, too fast, too athletic, just going past them in a way.
Absolutely, and even if they go man-to-man at the back, so be it. You know, you have that go at it and force the game out to the middle third.
So thanks to Kieran and Jim. There is a Sligo sub. Conor Griffin from Colry St. Joseph's is coming in to the Sligo team, and it's Mikey Gordon, who picked up the yellow a few minutes ago, who is making way. Mayo also making a change, we're hearing, and there he is, Pádraig O'Hora. He's into the Mayo defence in place of Lee Keegan. Didn't feature during the Allianz League. Pádraig O'Hora picked up a knock last month, and this is his first appearance for Mayo since last season's All-Ireland semi-final. Came off the bench against Tipperary that evening at Croke Park. So Pádraig O'Hora slots in, and away we go again. We're into the last quarter of this Connacht Championship quarter-final. Sligo, who this evening were looking for their third win over Mayo in the championship since the famous Connacht final victory of 1975. But it just hasn't panned out the way they had hoped for. They've been playing catch-up really since the 5th minute. And those first half goals from Aidan O'Shea and Darren McHale doing so much damage. Sligo player down here and receiving attention off the ball. Looks like it may be Red Oak Murphy. In fact, no, it's the man who came in a moment ago, Conor Griffin. And Conor Griffin is moving very gingerly on his ankle by the looks of things, so I'm not quite sure if he'll be able to continue. Now Sligo have another man in the wars. That's Keelan Cawley, the 32-year-old Sligo captain. And he looks to be in quite a bit of bother as well. So this really is compounding Sligo's problems at this stage.
Yeah, well, as you know, Darren McHale picks up the ball there, the loose ball, and in his effort to tackle Keelan Cawley, looks to have hurt himself, and forearm injury. But I suppose from a Mayo point of view, it's a massive plus that Darren McHale, you know, a player that we haven't seen that much of, has come in and performed so well in this game. He offers something different to maybe some of the other forwards. You know, we've seen him play maybe in the half-forward line before for Mayo, I think against Meath in the National League this year, and played quite well. But what has stood out for me about him is his movement right throughout the forward line, constantly on his toes, constantly moving from left to right. He's back there around the middle of the field, picking up loose balls, and then up front he's constantly going left and right and giving the players out the field an option, and that's a big positive for Mayo.
So both Sligo players there who were carrying injuries have been worked on. We're just hearing that Keelan Cawley, when he got back to his feet there, he had a yellow card waiting for him. That challenge on Darren McHale was a little reckless, all right. But both players walk away from it in one piece, I think, and away we go. Mayo with the ball and a 17-point lead. And on their way to racking up another win against Sligo in the Connacht Championship and booking a ticket to a semi-final against Leitrim at McHale Park in Castlebar in 2 weeks' time.
I think that James Horan will be looking closely at O'Hora, how he gets on in these last couple of minutes. He was picking up Sligo's best player there, Niall Murphy, until recently, and with the trouble Mayo have had in the full back line, you know, any players he can add to that area of the field, James Horan will be happy with.
Tommy Conroy held up by McGuinness, recycled to Paddy Durkin, wrapped up by Evan Lyons and Niall Murphy. This is Conor Loftus, who shoots over a wall of Sligo men, and Conor Loftus has hit his first score of the match. He's had to wait almost an hour for it, but again, it was well worked by Mayo. Back to the shooter, and Conor Loftus from Cross Malina leaves us with an 18-point game.
Conor has that ability on his right boot. He's a good striker of the ball. He's played a kind of a unselfish role today. He's really been trying to involve himself in the kickouts, himself and Ruan. They haven't been the standouts in terms of driving forward, but they're doing their job nonetheless.
Sligo kick-out possession secured. That gives them a platform, and it gives Conor Griffin a chance to carry the ball forward. As you can see, though, almost 12 minutes now since they last troubled the scorekeeper. Managed just 9 points in their last league match against Wexford. Stuck on 10 points now for almost a quarter of an hour as Niall Murphy, their scorer-in-chief, tries to invite Durkin in. Bides his time, looks for Ryan Feely, just behind the corner back though. And that move breaks down, and Mayo will try and break at pace. Matthew Ruan, he's got one man ahead of him, that's Darren McHale. The pass had to be precise, and it was. Now Owen McLaughlin breaks through. Nobody at home in the Sligo defence. McLaughlin's in, and Owen McLaughlin drills over his second point. Well, he'll rarely get a better chance to score his first championship goal, but McLaughlin's point flies over, and James Horan will use this break and play to bring in number 20, Stephen Cohen. A late addition, I think, to the Mayo plans. He's coming in the 59th minute, and it's Paddy Durkin who's making way.
Well, that's very much a substitution with the battles ahead in mind. Paddy Durkin, an absolute key player for Mayo, one of their standout performers on the national level. He's one of the best players in the country, and his dynamic running from the half-back line is something that Mayo will need in any game in the future, and particularly when in a more competitive game.
So Sligo also want to make a change. Cian Lally is about to come into the game now any moment, but unfortunately for him, didn't have his gum shield in, and the fourth official not allowing that change to happen until everything's in order. Now Cian Lally is good to go. And one interesting line on the Sligo number 11. He's played basketball in the past with the EJ Sligo All-Stars, with one Aidan O'Shea lined out together a few years ago. Very talented basketballer, Cian Lally, and he's in now for the last 10 minutes or so to try and help Sligo engineer a couple of scores and to finish on a good note. Aidan O'Shea, still full of running, the big Mayo number 14. Man who breaks by him is Stephen Cohen, just in. And Stephen Cohen announces his arrival with his first point.
Again, Aidan O'Shea drawing a load of tacklers, using that move again where he lifts the ball over the defender's head, pops it to Stephen Cohen, and from a tight angle, Stephen Cohen puts it over, and that's an area of his game that has improved in the last couple of seasons.
So now 6 points in a row for Mayo, starting to surge away again as Paul Towie, the man there in your picture, gets ready to come in. Kick out from Kilgannon, breaks kindly for Carabine. And a chance here for Cian Lally to show us what he can do. He's got Matthew Ruan for company. Ruan strips the ball from Lally, but did so illegally. Foul on the Sligo number 11. And now Mayo will make that change. Paul Towie comes in to make his championship debut. And it's another straight swap. The Charlestown man replaces Ryan O'Donoghue. Played under 20 football last season, Paul Towie. Also came on against Clare a few weeks ago in the Allianz League. And he comes in at a nice time to make his debut. Mayo 20 points in front, no pressure.
No, and he'll come in and he'll take the frees. And I think one of the things that James Horan will have been looking for coming into this game was how they'll address the loss of Cillian O'Connor in terms of free taking. And Ryan O'Donoghue has done that well today, albeit there'll be much more pressurised situations in the future.
Sean Carabine off the floor, but pushes it away and wide of that far post. Mayo kick out short to Michael Plunkett from Ballintubber. Up the line as far as Fergal Boland. Torric O'Hora from the Ballina Stephenites Club in North Mayo. Just cross wires there with Fergal Boland. Cian Lally. In the early evening sunshine here at Markievicz Park, Sligo knitting some hand passes together and trying to get within shooting distance of the Mayo goal. Niall Murphy. Mayo's defence is set, and that will force Red Oak Murphy just to think about his next move. Outside of the left boot, nice pass. Mark call by Niall Murphy just inside the Mayo 45. Good thinking by the Sligo full forward. Kicked a spectacular score from similar range against Louth during the league, and he's gone for it again, but didn't judge that one correctly, and that is another wide for Sligo. They're up to 5 misses now. Just haven't been able to create enough scoring chances from the get-go. Michael Plunkett sauntering out of his own defence. Lovely ball to Darren McHale, who made a cross-field run into space. Carabine is after him. McHale has already played the pass. Big hit there on Stephen Cohen. Collided with Eddie McGuinness. Two big, strong men bouncing off each other. Ball breaks to a Sligo man, and Nathan Mullen will clip it down the line to Red Oak Murphy. Sligo trying to inject some pace here. Nearest player to goal is Niall Murphy. I think he's doing his best to get to the back post. Red Oak Murphy shut down very quickly by Enda Hessian and Oisin Mullen. And you can see just how driven and motivated Mayo are. Enda Hessian arguing the toss over that line ball.
And that's something that Red Oak will learn in those situations, that you can't really idle on the ball against a Division 1 team. They'll get help back, and in no time at all he was doubled up on there and lucky to win the sideline ball.
Paul Towie steps away from Ryan Feely. Down the line, claimed by Tommy Conroy. Holds off McGuinness, waits for support. And Fergal Boland has the luxury of going all the way back to Matthew Ruan as Mayo recycle and try a different route to the Sligo goal. Plunkett. A wall of Sligo men between Conor Loftus and goal. Ball popped back by Plunkett. Here's Owen McLaughlin looking to wrong foot Peter Laffey. Conor Loftus invited Murphy in, then takes the shot, fires it up on the breeze. Beautiful score from Conor Loftus. Well, he's back in the Mayo team again after Diarmuid O'Connor picked up that injury a couple of weeks ago, and he is certainly paying his way.
Lovely bounce inside to make a bit of space, and then uses the wind perfectly to bring it back round.
No Sligo score now for almost 20 minutes in this second half. came out of the blocks at high speed after the restart, but their effort has tapered off again. And this will be very much a learning experience for so many of these players, many of whom came through the 2015 minor squad, a team that reached a Connacht final, lost to Galway after a replay. But very much the players Tony McEntee will be building a team around, you'd imagine, over the next few seasons. Paul Kilcoyne to Sean Carabine, to the shooter, Niall Murphy, wraps his foot around the ball, and Niall Murphy drills over another one. Well, he has been leading the line at times all on his own, the Sligo number 14. Sigerson winner with DCU back in 2015, and he's just kicked his 5th point of the match. So 3 minutes of normal time left, plus whatever is added on in terms of stoppages, and the only question to be answered now, the margin of victory. Towie threads it through towards Aidan O'Shea. Lovely layoff to Conroy. He'll hunt for a goal. Conroy sticks it in the back of the net, free out. Tommy Conroy pulled up for overcarrying. And I suppose at this stage, Billy Joe, your next job is to tell us who's your selection for our man of the match.
Well, there's been a number of Mayo players that have performed very well, but I think it was the man that played the last pass in that passage of play, Aidan O'Shea, that has been the real standout. When the game was in its early stages, he set the tone. He showed the leadership in the absence of Cillian O'Connor. It wasn't just about the scores he got. He kicked 2-2, but it's as much about his dispossessions, creating turnovers, and a number of assists again today. He really led from the front, showing that versatility that he has, playing the full forward line, playing out the field. An excellent performance. And he is our super value man of the match.
So there you have it, the Mayo captain who celebrates his 31st birthday on Tuesday is Billy Joe Padden's selection for our super value man of the match. Over 20 possessions in the game, 2-2 from play, as Niall Murphy pulls a score back for Sligo down at the other end. It was Henley again with the fists, only as far as the waiting Kilcoyne. And Niall Murphy, his personal tally now up to 6 points.
Showed again great skill, Murphy, there to his hooked it over his left shoulder, added to the score he got a couple of moments ago off the outside of his right boot. He's shown us all the attributes that he has, and he can certainly walk away this evening, I suppose, confident or happy with the way he's played, albeit very disappointed with the result.
Mayo have just brought in James Carr for the last few minutes. Kevin McLaughlin, the player who was replaced, his 150th appearance ending in the 69th minute. That's a yellow for Red Oak Murphy as well. And there is our man of the match. Aidan O'Shea made his championship debut for Mayo way back in 2009, and he crowns his 70th championship appearance with a man of the match performance. By the way, this evening, his 59th consecutive championship match. It's a remarkable record.
Yeah, it shows his longevity, and often players that are as big and strong as he has struggled with injuries, but he's obviously played through issues in the past and shown that toughness.
Great save by Kilgannon there to push the shot from McLaughlin onto the bar. Mayo in search of a 4th goal. Aidan O'Shea in the thick of it, and ball touched on the ground and a free out, but really good save by Eamon Kilgannon. So we're into the first minute of additional time. Sean Carabine taking it clear for Sligo. Cian Lally being chased by Matthew Ruan, who looks like he's still full of running, and we're in the 71st minute. Mayo extremely well conditioned and battle hardened after years on the road with league and championship. Here's another chance to look at James Carr setting up Owen McLaughlin, and the left hand of Eamon Kilgannon denying Mayo a fourth goal.
McLaughlin had a couple opportunities maybe earlier to go for goals there. He was no doubt that that's what he said he'd have a go this time, and it's a good save by Kilgannon. Just didn't get it far enough away from him.
So Sligo right now on their way to losing their 5th successive championship game. A run stretching back to the summer of 2018. They've also struggled to win league matches over the last 2 seasons. That win here over Leitrim back at the start of this year's league campaign. A rare victory in Division 4 as well, as Mayo cut through and show once more that for them really attack is the best form of defence, and it's James Carr this time who helps himself to a score, and now the lead back up to 20 points again.
McLaughlin really enjoying himself. He's the full left side of the field here to motor up and down. He has that engine and that pace to just stride up and down the field. James Carr makes the right decision, just taps it over.
And James Carr from Arda becomes the 11th different scorer for Mayo. He's also won a free here. The man who scored, of course, one of the most memorable goals of all time during the championship of 2019 against Galway in the qualifiers. And another option for James Horan to call on. So 319 from play so far for the Connacht champions. 11 different scorers, and a chance for Paul Towie to register his first score. Leaves it very close and just wide. He'll know a lot of these Sligo players well. Paul Towie went to school in St. Attracta's in Tubbercurry. Would have played colleges football with a few of them as well. But he'll have to wait just a little longer to get his first championship score as we tick into the last 40 seconds or so. Owen McLaughlin there was just holding Conor Griffin. James Horan's mind, I'm sure, already turning to the next challenge. Leitrim in 2 weeks' time. And on the other side of the draw, Roscommon and Galway battling it out for a place in the Connacht final next month.
James is very happy. Well, so far he'll be checking in the dressing room afterwards if anyone is carrying any knocks, and hopefully he'll be hoping to get through this game unscathed. But he'll be very happy with particularly some of the former of his experienced players, Paddy Durkin, Aidan O'Shea, and maybe some of the more inexperienced players. He'll be absolutely delighted with the way Darren McHale has played.
Well, Sean Carabine has just been out of luck and out of sorts in this second half in particular, and on that note, the final whistle sounds here at Markievicz Park. It's a win for James Horan, it's a win for Mayo, and it's a man of the match performance from their captain Aidan O'Shea. Helped himself to 2-2 in the first half as Sligo bow out of Championship 2021 and Mayo march on and into the Connacht semi-final against Leitrim. After a very one-sided game, it's finished here. Mayo 323, Sligo 12 points.
Thanks to Mike and Billy Joe there for being on commentary duties in Markievicz Park. And we spoke at half-time, lads. We said, just Mayo wanted to get through this game and it was going according to script. So impressive for you, Jim?
Yeah, listen, they've done everything that's been asked of them today, you know, and the luxury of taking off some key players there early in the second half, and 2 weeks now to Leitrim, and obviously on that form you would expect them to be in the provincial final.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the questions we were talking about as well as Cillian O'Connor, he's gone. How are they going to react? You mentioned that they reacted really well at half-time. Some of the players that came in, that got some scores, Darren McHale, a few players like that, you know, not that they can take the place of Cillian O'Connor, but did you feel that they added more to that Mayo side today?
Look, they did well, there's no doubt about it, but you know, Aidan O'Shea is the one that if Mayo are going to do anything this year, that kind of form that he can show it full forward, you know, he was very good today, but you'd expect that of him on a day like this. What I would say is, you know, when it comes to Connacht finals, that's when Mayo fans want to see Aidan O'Shea having 2-2 in the edge of the square, being a strong presence, winning ball like he did today out in front, slipping players, making those around him look really well. He's a very unselfish type of player. He works hard for the team, but he can also score. But he has to focus on that scoring when it comes to the bigger games down the line will be key for him and Mayo going forward.
Yeah, I was going to say earlier, I know we were having a bit of a joke about it, about I was going to give Peter some stats, but one stat from Killian O'Connor's point of view is 60 championship games and his scoring average is 7.1 points. And the big stat that stood out for me when I looked at it during the week was against Dublin, over 9 games in championship football, that went up to 7.8. So, we're talking here about sort of lesser teams and Division 4 teams, but Killian has done it consistently every single day. And against the bigger teams, or maybe the best team that's ever played the game, he's moved from 7.1 to 7.8. And Kieran's right, that's when we get into Connacht finals and semi-finals and stuff, we'll have to judge it then, not today.
We're going to talk about Mayo in a bit more detail, but just a word on Sligo. I mean, we knew it was going to be very difficult. It's a Division 4. I know Mayo were operating Division 2, but really our Division 1 side, it's a tough day for them. There's a lot of learnings, I'm sure, to take out of it, but for the lads leaving that pitch day, it's a tough day.
It's a tough day, but, look, they're playing against one of the best teams of the modern era. Yes, Mayo haven't got over the line, but, they've been consistently there in the last 10 years. There's been a huge difference of where the last time Sligo beat Mayo was 2010, and where the two teams have gone, one has gone to the top and one has gone to the bottom. So I think, Tony's job is the league is huge next year. He has to rejuvenate the group, obviously strength and conditioning. We can see from looking at the game there today, Jim, just size-wise of the players alone. So that's a huge area they can focus on. They've got a big span of time now to put serious conditioning on the guys, and then get them back and just try and have that run. There's plenty of ball players there. You see how good Niall Murphy was. Red Oak coming on off the bench, who was out in Australia. If he can set into the team, they need to rejuvenate these guys and try and get up. And if a big win next year, getting out of Division 4 into Division 3 is momentum. And I think that's what these teams need, is momentum. And getting up into Division 3 will bring more experience, more tough challenges, and that's what they really need going forward.
Yeah, and for me, when you look at the Mayo team there, every player on that pitch knows exactly what the next player is going to do as soon as they get the ball, and you don't see that in Sligo, and that takes time. It takes time to build relationships, to build the game plan, to understand the philosophy of the manager. And I know what stuck in my head before the game was Tony McEntee saying, we had 10 weeks there, and I'm thinking, these guys are together for maybe 10 years, some of them, and he's got 10 weeks under his belt. So, it was almost an impossible task, and that's, Kieran's right, the conditioning part's going to be huge, but also the tactical and the, to get the understanding what the manager wants is huge as well.
Okay, well, let's just look at Mayo, Peter, because you picked out some clips you want to show us, and just, I suppose, Darren McHaley pushed Aidan O'Shea there tough for man of the match, didn't he?
Yeah, well, it was very hard to provide any constructive analysis in that second half. I think Mayo really switched off, but the big talking point before the game was, can Mayo unearth more new talent and scoring talent? And I think James Horne's going to be very happy with the return of Darren McHale in particular. Very good first half. He scored a goal and 3, but this score came directly from the kick out. And it's interesting, his position in the first half, he stayed very close to the goal, but this is a Mayo kick out. The target is Conor Loftus, and I think Rob Hanley had 100% return on his kick-outs today, 18 out of 18. But look at the position of McHale underneath the kick-out. Loftus wins it clean, but he's on his bike, and again, his identification of where the space is, it's not very hard when there's no defenders in front of you. He takes the ball at speed, and had the option of passing it inside, but they were that far ahead, he didn't need it, and tapped it over the bar. So for a young man making his debut, and for somebody to fill in that slack, the lads were speaking about the importance of Killian O'Connor. In last year's championship, Killian scored 540, and the next Mayo man to that was Tommy Conroy on 1-8 in 5 games. So they're going to need other forwards emerging who can hit the target, and certainly Darren McHale today was very good. Second point, I revert back to a point we made at the very start of the programme about the strength of Mayo's running game. Whenever they turn the opposition over, how quickly they emerge from their defence. And what's interesting about this turnover, if you take it back slightly, you will see that 2 of the men that are actually back inside their own 13-metre line are the 2 full forwards, Aidan O'Shea and Tommy Conroy. But as soon as they win the ball, already you see there's 3 or 4 players taken off. An assist man in particular here, Owen McLaughlin, he senses their space up front, and the lads spoke earlier about the strength and conditioning that exists in the Mayo side. These boys can run all day, and again, will they get that? Will they be afforded that sort of space against better opposition? Definitely not, but you still need the legs and the wherewithal to get there. Fantastic pass by McHale, and again, in another day, was he going for the goal there? We'll have to ask Owen himself, but maybe not so clinical, but they didn't have to be. They were that far ahead. So from a Mayo point of view, convincing. First half, after 15 minutes, the game was over. But once again, the importance of their running game moving forward is going to be very important to Mayo.
Thanks, Peter. And just to pick up on that, I mean, they scored 3-13 in the first half and they get 10 points in the second half. Like, do you read much into that, or is it a case that where, you know, hang on a second, if we scored 3-13 in the first half, we want to send out a message here, we should be scoring 3-13 in the second half. Should that be the case, Jim?
I don't think so. No, I think just you know, their game plan was very obvious that they were going to draw them out early in the second half, and they were passing for the sake of passing in many respects, you know, so they didn't really care if they put scores on the board. They knew the game was in the bag, and then you start seeing the top players going off, and so they're projecting 2 weeks ahead at that stage, and that was all there was to it. You know, we've done a good job. That's it. It's over, and let's start thinking about 2 weeks' time.
Even injuries-wise, Grania, like, you know, you could tell that they weren't pushing at the same level that they were early on, because it starts dawning on fellas that they're out again in 2 weeks, and, you know, as we spoke about against Leitrim, another Division 4 side, they're thinking about a Connacht final in 4 weeks, and, you know, any injury now rules you out for the rest of the, you know, for possibly the rest of the big games. And what these boys want, and what Mayo have been used to over the last number of years, is big games. And look, for these guys, that's what it's about at this stage. It's not about trying to add on huge scores against Sligo, because, as I said, you're not going to get any huge pat in the backs for it. They were just ruthless about what they did. But, you know, look, the strength and conditioning and the power that we spoke about earlier on, it's so evident in so many of the clips. And we know Mayo have that, and that's something that they have in the bank. And look, what they'll be working on over the next few weeks is trying to get ready for that Connacht final, where they're going to come up against, you know, a hurting Galway side after what happened to them against Monaghan in the last game of the league, or a Roscommon side that are out to prove a point as well. So that's the first real test that we'll get to see where these boys are at.
Okay, well, man of the match display of today, of course, was from Aidan O'Shea. Let's hear his thoughts. He's been speaking with Marcus O'Buchala.
Aidan O'Shea, congratulations. You are the Super Value man of the match. Your initial assessment of that performance, comfortable win in the end for Mayo, but comfortable at half-time as well.
Yeah, look, happy enough to kind of get it done early. Came out, played pretty well in the first 20 minutes. Similar to the Clare game a couple of weeks ago, probably a bit lax in the second half. Probably could have pushed on a little more. In fairness to Sligo, you know, Niall Murphy and Carabine kept them in the game for stretches there. So, yeah, we're happy enough. Got the job done, and we're moving on in 2 weeks.
Mike Finnerty let us in on the news. You're 31 next week. He said you look like a 21-year-old out there today. How's the body feeling? And obviously it's been a condensed league campaign straight into championship, a game in 2 weeks, but back in Castlebar, which is a huge plus.
Yeah, thanks to Mike for showing my age. But yeah, no, look, delighted to just get back into the championship. You know, obviously it's been a quick turnaround the last couple of weeks, but yeah, look, we want to be playing games, and championship 2021 has started, and a few boys got their debuts there today as well, which is great. So yeah, look, Leitrim now in 2 weeks' time, and we need to just build on some of the stuff that I suppose in our four walls that we know we need to improve on.
A lot of talk before the game about the two O'Connor brothers that were missing, but you're after saying they're debuts for other lads getting opportunities in the Mayo jersey, and they certainly took them there today.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Darren McHale come in, and Enda Hession, young Enda Hession, come in a cornerback, so big occasion for those boys to get their debut out of the way. So yeah, look, there's opportunities there for boys. With boys being out injured, that's the nature of sport. So just got to go and grab them now and take that chance when it comes their way.
You mentioned Clare a couple of weeks ago and maybe letting them back in. Comfortable for large parts of that second half today against Sligo, but again, Sligo kicked on maybe towards the end. So again, things that you can take with you for that Leitrim game and hope to get better.
Yeah, definitely. Look, you know, you're not going to win much if you're not fully in it for 70 minutes. And again, we probably left some bits out there tonight or today that we need to improve on. They probably had a couple of goal chances towards the end there as well that we just need to shore up our defence a little bit. But yeah, look, we'd like to have things to work on, and you know, 2 weeks now to just get that right for Leitrim.
Aidan O'Shea, the Super Value man of the match. Congratulations. Good luck in 2 weeks.
Cheers. Thanks very much, Chris.
Yeah, congrats to Aidan and of course Mayo there. So he says they've things to work on, Kieran. What stood out for you that they need to work on?
Something that I'll be querying when it comes to the big games, and you know, even though Aidan carried the load on the scoring side today, obviously ably assisted, but Ryan O'Donoghue on the freeze was solid today. Didn't have any too much serious testers. We've seen Cillian O'Connor over the years put it down from anywhere inside 50 yards and bang him over. But myself and Jim were talking about that's an area that we'll look to see when the pressure comes on down the road. Likewise on the other side, you know, it's Kevin McLaughlin's probably going to take him, would have a solid enough record, but you know, these guys are going to be pressure kicks that they haven't been used to so far, because they've always had Cillian to say, here you go, you take those pressure kicks. So that's an area that they'll continue to work on, that those fellas will be putting massive time into to make sure that area of their game is okay for Mayo going forward, because you need solid free takers to win in All-Ireland.
Totally agree, and one thing for me is, I think it's safe to say after today that they are morphing into a running team. You know, time and time again they're doing that. And to be a really good running team, the final ball is really important. And watched the game during the week, the Clare game and the last league game. And today in the first half as well, there was a couple of occasions. You know, it's like flicking a switch, Grania. You know, you won the ball in your own half. You're aggressive. You're supporting the ball. It's straight lines. It's transitional football. And so there's a lot of intensity in it and a lot of aggression in it. And then at the last moment, you've got to slow down, make sure the final pass to pop the ball over the bar. And sometimes that final pass is the hardest part to do in really aggressive transitional football. It wasn't brilliant in the Clare game, and there was a couple of instances in the first half. And that's nitpicking in terms of Mayo, but I think that's one area in big games that you've got to be able to go from 100 to 70, relax, and make sure that final pass is perfect and the ball goes over the bar. And so probably that tidy thing for me would be one area that maybe they could look at moving forward.
Peter, Aidan said that they just want to get the job done early. They did that. Would you go along with the lads here in areas that they need to work on before the next day and the Connacht final, possibly?
Absolutely. You probably are nitpicking when you say the things to work on. They're after winning the game by 20 points. They didn't play with the same intensity in the second half, for the reason that they're thinking ahead and they're thinking of the injuries that they do have. But after saying that, there's still players playing for position. I know they created a number of goal opportunities. They scored 3, probably could have scored more. I think that's maybe 9 goals they've scored now in 5 games. So they're not afraid to hit the net. But as I say, James Horan will be relieved that none of his key men, and when I say key men, you're talking Aidan O'Shea, Paddy Durkin, Lee Keegan, all them men came through today's game unscathed, and the newcomers didn't do themselves any harm. So all in all, I would say James Horan and the Mayo folk will be delighted with what they've seen today.
OK, lads, well, we're going to leave it there then for that game. It is, of course, Mayo who march on in 2 weeks' time to take on Leitrim in the Connacht semi-final. But we're going to take a short break, and afterwards we're going to be turning our attention to Munster and Kerry and Clare. Stay tuned.
That's unbelievable! That's a huge moment. That is magical. Oh, that's wonderful. Beautifully done. Unstoppable. Cool as you like.